Catholic life is what it is. I have no idea why YouTube wants me to do this angle, so I can't use my microphone because where it plugs in is the bottom of it. I'll try and cut this out later. Hi, it's a holiday party with Deanna Williston and Our Blooming Catholic Life. I'm just getting started. I was making charity blankets for the holidays, and that's not what our local group wants. They want hat and scarves. And I need to sit and do some quick, and I just thought I'd ask if you wanted to join me. What I'm going to use, I found this interesting pattern. It is free from Yarnspirations. It's a very quick and easy ribbed crochet hat and scarf set, which is what I need, a hat and scarf set. The rib pattern makes it super stretchy, so it fits a variety of heads, but the hat actually comes in 3 sizes, and of course, you could vary the length of the scarf if you want. The scarf is only, when you get to the scarf, it's only 2 rows. Yeah, it's 2 rows. So there's a setup row, and then there's row 2, and you just repeat row 2 until your scarf measures 8 inches. And you're actually, you knit the whole, or sorry, crochet the whole length, and then you're adding the width of the scarf. The hat has 24 rows, and again, it works for 3 sizes, and it has this unique little brim that I thought was enchanting. It does say they did it in tweed. They used Caron Simply Soft tweeds, and it was 240 yards to a ball. You needed 1 hat for each size, 2 for the scarf. So if you're making the set, you need 3. If you were using a Red Heart Super Saver, you only need 2 of these to make the set. Yay! What I have is a hodgepodge. So we're going to see how this works out. I have this brown, this variegated, which is most of one, and this hot pink. These are 3 yarns that I used to make a blanket for my little baby niece. I think you've heard me talk about Tommy and Ashley before they were twins, and I have a corresponding blue set for him. And I wanted to make something for charity, didn't know what to make out of them, so I have these. So I'm going to stripe them a little bit. I'm going to get started with the hot pink. There is something funny going on with this, besides the fact that I dropped a hook. You'll need 2 size hooks, an eye, which also known as a 9 or a 5.5 millimeter. You will also need a size 7. Here's the thing, I've never even heard of a size 7 crochet hook. Has anyone heard of a size 7 crochet hook? I don't know. It seems to be between G and H. I don't have it, but we're going to go with what we have. I'm going to look, is this video live now? I actually can't see it. You must be seeing it. I can't see it on YouTube to give it a name. Let me see if I go in to my shorts. We're going to get started in just a minute, so grab yarn if you have it. We're going to sit here for a while. We're going to make some snacks, and we're going to have the whole thing done. Let's see if it comes up so I can give this a name so you know what you're watching. It's still not showing up for me, so I can't give it a name. That's so funny. I love that you all are watching. I can't see this yet. How fun. So I can't respond to your comments. Try and put them if you can. I'll do the best I can. Okay, I'm going to have to find this hook super quick. I had it a second ago. It's golden. If you see it, let me know. This has gotten crazy. Okay, I'm going to scoot over here to the side. Was I sitting there? No. Oh my goodness, friends. I may have to run downstairs and grab another one. I'll be right back. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I decided to use the H. The G was getting super tiny, and I didn't want to use the super tiny one. Oops. And now my blanket. Oh my goodness, friends. You decide to go live and things get crazy. Perhaps I need a snack. Oh, hi. Hi, Nick. Nice to see you. Okay, the comments are coming up on the bottom of the screen. I can't reply in chat because the video is still not showing up on my phone. I have no idea. So the first thing I did for my snack was go and get cupcake papers. You can use a bowl. These are just fun and a little more festive. My snack mix is really funny. It is cereal, so it's a little bit healthier than your average snack mix you see at parties. I used Rice Chex, so little rice squares. But they also have squares that are chocolate and peanut butter, as well as they have the O cereal in chocolate and peanut butter. So it's half rice, half oats. And what did I add to it? I added little peanut butter candies and some mini chocolate chips. And that's all that's in my snack mix. Put it in a festive bowl. It's a party for myself this afternoon. I'm putting off doing some chores just to get started on this charity project. And see, it's a little dollar store scooper. It exactly scoops me one little snack cup. So if you see me snacking, it's a cereal mix. So it's sort of healthy. My husband, when he's been eating it, he's been grabbing some nuts and throwing it in for his. I can't eat nuts, so he is more than welcome to do that and have some. It's a nice little mix. Okay. You have a snack? Do you have a drink? Do you have yarn? Again, we're going to walk through this pattern. It's at Yarnspirations. It is, I'm looking for the name of it. It just says crochet hat and scarf. Let me look. I'll go back one and get the name of it. It just says free Karen crochet hat and scarf pattern. It's at yarnspirations.com. Claims it's on trend. I'm going to come back and see if I can't see this video on YouTube. I don't know how you all are seeing it. And I am not seeing it at all. It does not come up for me. It's very weird. I apologize for this glitch. I have no idea why I can't see the video, so I can't name it. And I can't give it to you. I can't add this link for you. It's very annoying. YouTube, what are you doing to me? Well, someone's still watching. So again, this is the Karen crochet hat and scarf pattern from Yarnspirations, and it is free. It's super easy. Like I say, you're going to want 2 skeins of the Super Saver Red Heart, or you're going to want 3 of the Karen Simply Soft Tweeds. And you're going to want a crochet hook 7. I'm using the 8, the H, and you're going to want an I, which is a 9. The I is for the scarf, so the scarf is going to go a little bit more quickly. Again, the scarf is 1 setup row, and then it's 1 row for the whole rest of the scarf. So easy peasy done. But let's go ahead and get started on the hat. Now, the first thing the hat says to do, like most crochet patterns, it tells you how many to start with. I'm going to start with my slip knot. I make it look like a pretzel. Looks like a little pretzel. And then I'm going to go in and grab the thread that's under. So I've made a slip knot. Make a slip knot however you need. But I'm actually going to grab the larger hook because it tells me to use the smaller hook, but to do it loosely. Why not just use a hook 1 step larger? Okay, so I'm going to make the smallest hat 30 cast on. So just 1. Oops. Started looking at myself on camera. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. The next row is really funny. Now, friends, if you're joining us now and you don't have the supplies or things ready, feel free to pause, run and grab them. Or if you want to do this later, come back to the video another day. It's super easy. So now we're going to use our smaller hook, the mysterious 7. I'm using an 8 or an H. Okay, this is really weird. This first row had me so confused. Single chain in 1 single chain and 2nd chain from hook. That's pretty standard, right? And then we're going to go 1 single chain in each to the last 2 chains. We're leaving the last 2 unworked. We're going to come back later and use those to make that really funky brim I was telling you about. So we're just going to single chain across. This hat is super duper easy, and it's going to involve sewing the seam in the end. So there's no working in the round here until we get to the brim. The brim is worked in the round, but it's a 2-row brim, and it's so easy and fun. You're going to love it. Okay, this is just a crochet along with me video. If you're just joining, we're just working on row 1 now. This is free at yarnspirations.com. It is the Karen crochet hat and scarf, and we're just going along. Oh, somebody just told me something across the bottom and I just missed it. Let me see if I can get that back. If I touch that button, can I get it back? Let's see here. Live chat. Let me see here. Live chat. Oh, Okay, the main outdoors. I just got the monastic diurnal. Oh, nice. Okay, you got the Latin English. Oh, exciting. Hold on, let me click it again, see if they all come back. Yeah, great. Sorry I didn't see that at first. That's going to be fun. You're going to have to report in on that my monastic diurnal and see how it goes. I've seen some of the free versions online. I've not actually gotten my hands on one yet. We're looking at investing in some different Liturgy of the Hours books for our Adoration Chapel. We have shorter Christian prayer and Christian prayer. The deacon said he'd love to see us get a Liturgy of the Hours. If the church will give us a budget for it, we'd love to do that. Monastic Diurnal might be an interesting one to get in as well. I love exposing people to different forms of prayer in the church. Okay, remember, I'm getting to the end. Remember to leave the last two unworked. Okay, we're just going to leave those and we're going to turn. Okay, slip stitch and back loop of the first two. So slip stitch and back loop of the first two. Weird. Okay, so a slip stitch is, can you see this? I'm just sticking my hook in there, grabbing the yarn, pulling it through and pulling it through. Ta-da! Slip stitch. And then I'm going to make one single crochet back loop. So again, I'm only working the back loop. You're looking at the top of the crochet here. See how there's a V? I'm only going to go in one of those loops of the V, the one that's furthest away from me, the back loop. And I'm going to do that the whole way across. Working in the back loop only is a way to make ribbing in crochet. In knit, you would do a knit 1, purl 1, or a knit 2, purl 2. And it's that combination of knits and purls that make the ribbing. In crochet, it's working in the back loop only that gives you the same look of ribbing. Ribbing is what you normally find at the edges of things, like at the edges of sleeves or necks, sometimes armholes. It's that stretchy little bit at the end. And so we're just going to crochet our way over. Keep going all the way until the end. I was really curious because I thought this was going to be a simple, easy pattern that was just going to be every row, but it lists out all 24 rows. So we're going to come the whole way to the end, it said this time. Remember our first row, we left 2, but this one we're going the whole way over. Let's see what we do. Okay, the whole way over. Now we're going to look at 3, chain 1, single crochet back loop, and each until the last 2 stitches. Leave the last 2 unworked. Now here's where I'm not sure what they mean. Do they mean those initial last 2 that we left or the last 2 slip stitches that we just made? Yipes, I don't actually know. So basically we're making this hat this way. We're working up and down going around instead of working from the top down or the bottom up. We're working side to side, which is why when we get to the end, we're going to have to sew that back seam. We're making this hat side to side. And that's very common if you're doing something stretchy in crochet to make it side to side. The only time I've really encountered that in knit is in the diaper bag sweater. That's a sweater that's so stretchy, kids can wear it for like 4 or 5 years. It's like the best little sweater. I love making that one. So I'm going to go ahead and preview that. Well, it can't keep getting shorter every time, right? So I'm thinking it's just those very last 2 rows. I'm guessing that's what it is. It says leave remaining stitches unworked at the end. Because otherwise your hat would just get smaller and smaller and smaller down to nothing, right? Now this does not have a stitch count until we get to the back. So we should have 27. At the end of the 12th row, I think that the 12th row takes us and picks up those initial 2 that we skipped, and then it has 29 stitches. Okay. And so, yeah, we're doing this right. We're doing this right. We're just ignoring those very first 2. Everybody else, we're going in the back loop. Even those little slip stitches from last time. Okay. Isn't it funny? We're just leaving those 2 hanging there. There's 2 little guys from the beginning. It's funny. It kind of curls up too. Isn't that fun? So third row, we just did the third row, didn't we? Yep. Fourth row, chain one, single crochet in back loop of each one until we get to the end, then turn. And we're going to do that 4 rows 5 through 10. So we're going to get a pencil and start marking how many of these we did. So we did 1, we did 2, we did 3. We're on 4. So start making my tally marks here. 1, 2, 3, mark 4. We're on 4, but I already marked them down. Okay, and you thought you'd never use tally marks out of school. I've got friends that make these very crazy, complicated charts. They have almost their own crochet language. When they see a pattern, they rewrite it into their own language. So what they do is on the left-hand side of the page, they have the pattern for that row. And then on the right-hand side, they have a series of dashes for however many times they do that. So they know. I'm just going to check the chat here. Ah, price is not cheap, $75. Oh yeah, for the monastic diurnal, right? As books go, it's cheaper than getting the entire set of the Liturgy of the Hours, but more expensive than Christian Prayer and certainly more than shorter Christian Prayer. Hopefully the monastic diurnal, I have not heard the big 4-volume Liturgy of the Hours and then Christian Prayer and shorter Christian Prayer are all due to be revised at any moment. You know, the USCCB is constantly saying they're going to redo them, and they get the parts approved, and then something happens. And so that one, it's an investment, a hefty investment. You'd think it would last a lifetime, and then they're going to change it, and they're always threatening about changing it. So younger people or people who are just finding the Liturgy of the Hours are hesitant to buy the 4-volume because they don't want to have to turn around and buy the whole thing over again once it's redone. And the new version sounds exciting in a lot of ways, but you know, the monastic diurnal is pricey for a 1-volume, but it sounds like it's going to be around for a while. I don't know that that one is getting revised anytime soon, so it could be a safer investment. And we all know the Ordinary of the Chair of St. Peter, they have their book out as well. It's just a 1-volume. It's very comprehensive, but it has a number of typos, and they've printed how many they're going to print. It's apparently a second run. Both runs had a number of typos, and so they're not going to make any for a while. They had a lot of stock, and the stock was bought up. The remaining stock was bought up by the parishes, and so you're really unable to get a copy right now, but you can get Divine Worship done by the Ordinariate of, oh wait, the one that Our Lady of Walsingham uses with Our Lady of the Southern Cross. So basically the English version. There's another version. It's supposed to be very nice. I've never gotten my hands on a copy of that either. I'd love to. They say it's a little portable, comes in a little case. I have not seen that yet. Okay, so it is interesting. We're going 5 through 10 this way. We've done 5. We're on 6. Thank you for sticking with me. I hope you have your snack. We're just trying to sit here and get at least one hat done. Why? Because these are for charity, and sometimes you mean well and you start a gift, especially this time of year, whether it's a gift for charity or a gift for a family member, and you just don't have the power to stick with it. So that's why we're doing this together here today. We're going to just chat. You put something in the comments. It doesn't have to be crochet related. It doesn't have to be Catholic related. Hopefully it's something cheerful or Christmas though. And we'll just sit here and do this together. We're going to knock this out. We're going to get at least one project done for the holidays. No excuses. We're doing it together. Pause it if you don't have your materials. We're using, for the hat, which we're doing now, we're using the mysterious size 7, only we're not using the mysterious size 7. I went and got an H with it, which is an 8. So it should work out fine. I'm making the smallest size. See that little trick? I'm using a slightly larger hook. So I am using the pattern for the larger size, or the smallest size. So the 3 sizes, how they vary, is really just the cast on. The cast on for the smallest is 30. The next one is 34. And the biggest one is a whopping 38. Does it tell us what the sizes are? It did somewhere. Hold on. The hat, the smallest one was to fit an 18-inch head, the second one a 20-inch head, and the top size a 22-inch head. Now, if you have somebody with a slightly larger one, I'm sure you can do some math and figure out how many more to cast on. Or you can just keep going with the rows. This really increases the length, but I'm assuming in the end we're increasing the width as well. We are working widthwise. We're working back and forth across the person's head. It's kind of a fun way to work. We're just finished row 7. We need to get to row 10 before we do something different. So feel free to throw something in the chat if you like. I'm trying to keep an eye on it. It's difficult because, again, although you're finding the video, I can't find it. So I can't change the name. I can't see the comments on my phone like I normally do. I'm thinking my YouTube app might need to be updated. It's one of the reasons I haven't gone live for a while is because the live chat has been a little wonky. Like it's making me do this angle. I'm assuming you can hear me. I'm assuming you can hear me because my microphone is actually on the bottom. It's so wacky. I cannot help it. It's the only way YouTube will allow me to go live. And I know a number of you have been wanting me to go live. So I thought I'd just get on here and chat. So we're finishing. This is going to be row 8 here. To see how quick these rows are, they're nice and short. If we were going around, they would probably be longer, but we're going back and forth. And it's just a single crochet in back loop only. We still have those initial 2 chains that are just hanging on. They're going to be used in the brim later. Very exciting. Okay, we can ask questions. We could ask crochet questions. Is there a tip or technique anyone wants to share down in the chat? Or how are you giving these? This is for our local chapter of the Crochet Guild of America. It is called Eldersburg Hooked on Crochet. And they are working with our public library system. So there's a tree that hangs in the library, and we decorate it this year with hats and scarves. And then those are all going to be donated to local charities to give out for, I think it's honestly, they give them out in December, January, and February, all throughout the winter. So we try and keep that tree stocked up for people. And that's why I need these. I was working on blankets. I usually do blankets for veterans in hospice. And somehow I had that in my head that that's what she needed right now. And the guild president or whatever she's called wrote back and she's like, no, we're not going to do blankets for 2 more months. We need the hats and scarves right now. So here we are working together. Almost done with another row. See how quick it's going? Okay. That is 9. Okay. I don't... So 10 and 11 is honestly the same as the second row. So it's going to be the same. So we have 2 more rows of this. Then we're going to flip our page over. Again, this is a free pattern on Yarnspirations. The name is so simple. It's just Caron, C-A-R-O-N, crochet hat and scarf. I will show you in a second. I will link it afterwards, after this is done and I am allowed to edit it. I will get on, put a proper name on this video, and I will link that pattern below. They recommend for the full set to use 3 balls of Caron Simply Soft tweeds, and this would look lovely in tweeds. I'm just using what yarn I have on stash, and so I'm using Red Heart Super Saver, and I would only need 2 skeins of this. Now I don't have tweed, but I have this hot pink and a variegated, and I have another color from the variegated. I have a brown. So I'm going to play chicken and see if I can do it, because all 3 sizes of the pattern call for the same yardage. That's not even possible. So since I'm making the smallest, I think I can play chicken here and get away with it. I can always add a white. There's a white in that variegated as well. Probably want to throw in our stripe here soon. So let's wait until we get to the point where we're going to flip the page. Crochet is lovely for this and for a crochet along because it works so quick. This would take a lot longer in knit, but honestly, because this is ribbing, I could totally recreate this in knit super easy, super duper easy. Why? Because it gives us the number of rows in the pattern. So that number of rows would probably be my cast on, and then I would work it in ribbing until I got it until the height the hat needs to be. And then just close the hat up at the top, put a pom-pom on. It's that special brim at the end though that would be tricky. But you know, you can combine knit and crochet. There's no reason you can't. Lots of people do crochet edgings around knit pieces, and I don't see why you couldn't do that with a hat. I love this little brim it has on it. It's a slip stitch brim, so it makes it flat. You know, normally the brims of hats are where you see the most ribbing, and this one has a nice smooth bit. Now that's kind of nice right around your face and your eyes to have a smooth brim. So I'm kind of excited about seeing that. Let's see here. We are just finishing row 11. Ta-da! I'm gonna mark that down on my tally marks. You can see I've marked it all off. I've got 11 done, and I'm flipping the page. This is where we're going to go back, and we are going to, I think, pick up those two. Oh, no, I must have miscounted because we're supposed to end with one slip stitch in each of the next 12. So let's go ahead and count how many I did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, that was 11. Funny. Did the first one not count? First one must not have counted. I must need one. I'm so messed up here. It says 12th row, so count here. 1, 2. I would say I have 11 rows done, but I can't get down to those last two. Let's see here. Slip stitch. Each of the next two slip stitches. I have done this completely wrong. We really were at the end of every row. We were supposed to be doing those slip stitches, so it shouldn't be a square. It should have little slip stitches at the end. You should have like a little triangle piece. Oh no, friends, I've done it wrong. You should have a little triangle, not a rectangle. It should be like that. So when you knit a hat, you knit the same number of stitches, and then you start knitting them together, and you end up with these whole bunch of little points. Oh, hi, Paula. It's okay. Come in late. Come in at a half an hour because I've done this all wrong. But it's fun. So that's our friend Paula. We met her first on YouTube. She's a fellow Franciscan. She just joined us here for a second, said she won't see us. No shame in ripping this out. We've been chatting away. Again, there was something in the pattern that didn't make sense. It makes sense now. And that's how you learn. I'm just sitting here having a fun chat session, working on a crochet hat. It's so funny that I got that far doing it wrong. Picking back up on row 3. So we're just doing a single crochet in every back loop across. I led you all so astray. I'm very sorry. I was so sure I had it right. So at the end of every odd row, we're leaving 2 stitches unworked at the end of every odd row. So that is a 3. So scratch those out. We're back to 3. 1, 2, 3. Every odd row we're leaving 2. And we're going to go ahead and chain 1, turn, slip stitch in the back loop of each of the first 2. Slip stitch in those ones, and then single crochet in the back loop again. So we're going to have an angled edge. Okay. So we're going to have an angled stair-steppy edge as we go across. That's going to be the shaping for the top of the hat. So the hat is already going to be shaped when we're done. I had no idea this was a shaped hat. This is such a neat pattern. Even though I didn't understand it the first time, it's okay. We all make mistakes, and I'll catch us back up. So now we're on row 4. Row 4, we do work even. We're going to work right to the very end of the row. Goodness, and I said I'm determined to at least get the hat done. The scarf is only 2 rows. It's a setup row, and then it's a row that you repeat until it is the width of the scarf that you like. So here I am at the end. I'm going to work that last stitch, chain 1, turn. And then I'm going to single crochet in the back loop across until the last 2. When I get to the last two, I'm going to leave those two remaining. Don't forget to put your tally mark for each row so that you know where you are. Okay, we're just working our way across. It was funny that my friend Paula can, why can't I find the video on YouTube and everybody else can? So I'm just going across. I was curious, what are you all doing for Advent? We're almost out of Advent, right? What is everyone doing? Let's see if I can have it here in the comments below. I was doing that new Matthew Kelly book I had looked at. 33 Days Till Eucharistic Glory. I think I'm reviewing that again on Friday. The first one was just a first look at the book. And on Friday, I really go into the nuts and bolts of how to use that book. Okay, so I'm leaving my last two unworked. I'm going to check that off. And then I chain one, and I'm going to turn slip stitch into the back loop of each of the first two single crochets. And then we'll go back to our single crochet in the back loop. Okay, working our way across again. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Now, realizing that this is done in sections, see, it's going to be done in sections. I could do each section of this hat a different color instead of striping. I'm thinking that's how this has worked. Let me see. Do I work that 24 row? How many sections of this do we use, do you think? Could be 2, could be 3. Just looks like there's just 2 of these. Nope. Aha, in the end it tells you to measure it. The small one, again, is going to be our circumference, right? Circumference of your head, 18 inches for the small one, and then 20 and 22 for the next 2 sizes. So in the end, you're going to need a tape measure. I have this adorable little fox. He's by Lantern Moon. Somebody had got me. Right? So cute. He always makes it fun. His little funny face always makes me laugh. So this is my little foxy fox. So I'll be measuring him as I go along. So it's probably 3 sections, and when you measure that in the end, we're going to measure it without stretching. No stretching, no doing this, just leaving our work sit as it is. Okay, finished a row, need to put it in our tally marks. We're at 6, we're making progress again, we're going to do it. That was a nice even row, right? Yep, the even rows are even. It's the odd rows that are odd. That is nice in this pattern. It's the odd rows that are odd, the even rows we just work our nice even edge over here, right? These all nice match up. That one has a little bump. There we go. Oh, just a fun little afternoon. Well, I guess depends on where you are. It's morning still here. That's why I can have my little morning snack and sit and crochet with you all. I'm working on getting a hat done for charity. It's a hat and scarf set, and I'm here to answer any of your questions or comments live as they come in. If I miss it, make sure you say it again. I'll click the button and check periodically to check for them. Again, it's an odd row, so I'm leaving 2 stitches at the end, and I'm going to leave them unworked, and then chain 1 and turn, slip stitch over 2, and then start my crochets again. Yep. Just go across. Oops, and I didn't mark 7 off. I know I finished a 7 because it was such an odd row. Is anyone actually crocheting along, and what rows are you on? See if anybody answers me here. I have to click on the chat. Nope, not yet. Going for some more of our snack mix. If you missed our snack mix recipe, it's rice squares, cocoa and peanut butter squares, cocoa and peanut butter oat circles, and then add some peanut butter candies and some chocolate chips. It's almost healthy. You can make it as sweet or not sweet as you want. You can leave it with just the cereal, add more or less candy to your liking. And my husband was adding cashews to his, saying it would be more healthy if he added the cashews. I don't know about that, but you could certainly add whatever candies or whatever you wanted. It's chocolate and peanut butter flavored. That's why I added chocolate and peanut butter candies. I think it's nice. The back of the cereal boxes have a recipe. That you basically have all that pretty much. And then you add butter and melt more chocolate and powdered sugar and toss them in that. And ooh, that's so sweet. I'm not 10 anymore. I don't need that much candy. A little cereal with an occasional bit of candy is a nice treat. And honestly, the chocolate and peanut butter cereal is pretty nice tasting on its own. So it makes for a lightly sweet snack mix just to keep you going. You need to keep your strength up when you're knitting and crocheting. Okay, down to the last two. Ignore them. Look away. Instead, mark down how many rows you did. We're at 9. And then chain 1, turn, slip stitch in the first 2. Crochet across, back loop only. We're doing everything back loop only. That's how we're getting this great ribbing. See, it's ribbing like you would find at the wrist of a sweater, at the bottom of a sweater. Okay. Ooh, it's fun. If you were doing this in knit, you would be knit 1, purl 1. You could probably get away with a knit 2, purl 2. It works out to an even numbered pattern, so you could probably get away with that. I wouldn't do more than that. The smaller the scale of your ribbing, so like a 1-to-1 ratio instead of a 2-to-2 or a 3-to-3. I know those all reduce down to 1-to-1, but it does make a difference in how stretchy your fabric will be in the end. So the closer to 1 the original numbers are, the stretchier it's going to be. That was 10. Let's work on number 11. This one is going to be our odd one. Okay, even though this is odd, it says to work this one the same as a row 2. So we're going to go the whole way across on this one. That's the trick. That was the trick with row 11, why it had separate directions. So we're going to go over to the end of, all the way to the end of 11. I know it's an odd row, but we're going all the way to the end. See if we can get there. All the way to the end. It feels wrong. It feels wrong not to just leave those 2, but we're supposed to work in them this time. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead, mark down our tally for 11, turn our page, and row 12, chain 1, see this, I still ended up on the wrong side. I did at the end, chain 1. It says 1, see this should be a 12 that we just did. Seriously, I would have to add 2 more. These numbers are not working out for me, but on this row, when we get to the end, working in back loops only, okay. 1 slip stitch in each of next 2 stitches 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Aha, I don't have 5 of them, so my numbering is somehow off every time. So I need to do that 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there'll be 5 when I come back. So apparently I'm missing 2 rows somehow. This does not make any sense to me at all, but I'm going back and doing it. You have to go back and make sure it's right. Follow the directions. I don't have this as a row 12 though. 2, 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. This says I'm on row 12, but I'm clearly not on row 12. I do not understand this. There should be 2 more rows in there, in my humble opinion. That's why we're doing this together. So I'm going to say that is not row 12. I think they misnumbered them. I'm going to add, I want 5th to 12th. That is 13th row. I'm going to say repeat the row, the second and third rows. When it says 3 times more, I should take you to row 12. The 13th row is as the second row. We're going to do that now. So their numbering is just slightly off. I don't know. I'll check that later. That is definitely not working out. And we've done it twice and not had it work out, right? So first time I was still making mistakes, so I didn't catch theirs. Getting a knot. Not a knot. There we go. It pulled out. Phew. So we're going to work this one across and we're going to go, let's see what it says. It's originally to leave those last two. Okay. 1 single crochet back loop across to the last two. Now working back loops only. 1 slip stitch in each of next 2 slip stitches. So 1, 2, do it 5 times. And then we'll see we're going to drop down to the next one. See, we're gathering, this is the top of the hat and we're gathering it. So you see here our next stair step, we're going to go down to that stair step and we're going to gather it up. Slip stitch it. Ooh, this one's a little elusive. Then we're going to go down to the next stair step. And see, we're gathering them together, making them into a smooth edge. This is a neat technique to learn, so it's worth doing the hat just for that and taking your time to do it. Okay, we're going to slip stitch our whole way down. Curious how this picks up after we do this. Slip stitch, slip stitch. It's looking nice, isn't it? How we had all those stair steps and we're picking them up. We've got 2 more to do here. We're going all the way down to our first 2 little chains that we skipped, I bet. Wait, no, we don't do those. It says 1 slip stitch in each of next 2 slip chains. Okay. I'll go down and do the beginning ones then. Because it was 2 chains, and chains were our beginning, the slip stitches were our later ones. So we're going all the way down to our beginning guys. This is what it looks like after you've completed what it says is the 12th row. And you can see it's a hat, it's going to start curling up, isn't it? So what do we do for the 13th to the 22nd rows? It says we're going to repeat rounds. Repeat second and third rows 5 times. It's going to take us up to a 10. So let's see here. So this is chain 1, slip stitch and back loop of first 2 single chain. Interesting. So well, you wouldn't take it back up to the single chains, would you? We're just going to assume it's in those first 2 slip stitches. So there's some wording here that's a little confusing because you can't quite work that the rest of the way. 1 single chain back loop across. Did that make sense to everyone why we were doing that? So we're going to work across this diagonal piece down. Here we go. This is kind of funky. Let's see if that's, well, after time will tell if that is correct. Do we just work our way across to all of those, or were we supposed to, well, we kind of pulled it down. That's crazy, right? Repeat second and third rows. Okay. And so we're just working our way across, sorry. I think what I'm going to do for the colors, because I'm using 3 colors with this, probably going to make the hat pink and can make the brim brown or make the brim the variegated, and the pom-pom could be brown or something like that, so I can vary the colors there. Or I could make the pom-pom use all three, and then I'll use the colors in the scarf. It's going to be easier to change colors in the scarf because we don't have this weird shaping going on. So when to row 2, we go to the end. So let's see how we're going to do it 5 times. 1, and then we're going to come back. We are going to single crochet in the back loop across to the last 2. And we're going to skip those last 2. So we're going back to that pattern. Let's see how it goes this time. This is such a cute hat. I really hope it works out. You can never be 100%. Your inspirations are normally pretty good patterns. I'm a little confused on a couple places on here though, so we'll just have to give it a try. And we're going across. This is our first row 3. I'm kind of nervous. Our first row 3 since we went and caught up all our swoopy ends. So here we are going all the way to the end again. It feels so wrong to go on the diagonal part. We're going to see if this is right. If you've already made this pattern, feel free to comment below. I'm getting so nervous. I really am committed to making this hat, but it's giving me some challenges. Okay, so we're all the way down to the end. We're going to leave the last 2. Nerve-wracking. Okay, we're leaving 2 again. We're starting our stair steps. This time I'm putting my tally marks. It says repeat 2nd and 3rd rows 5 times, so I'm going to make 5 sections of 2 slashes. Okay, chain 1, turn. We're going to slip stitch in these first 2. 1, 2, and then we're going to crochet into the back loops. This is such a funny little hat. Really hope we're doing it right. Well, I'm having a great time with you all in the live chat. Let's see if there's any new messages. Nope, last one was from Paula. Oh, what was she running off to do? She said she was going to Mass in an hour. Let's see. She lives in the Midwest, so she's going to pick this up later. Paula, you were going to have a hoot because I am just a hot mess as normal. So I'll be glad you come back later, and you'll have to let me know what you think of the pattern. I know you crochet a lot for Charity too. She's also a secular Franciscan, but she's in the Midwest. We actually met through YouTube. I have a lot of secular Franciscan friends and a lot of other various 3rd order Franciscan friends that I've made through YouTube, which has been such a blessing in my life. You know, sometimes people really decry social media, but here we are just hanging out, spending time together. So there was a row 2, it worked even. And we're going to go back and do a row 3, which has this crazy stair-steppy thing going on again. This hat is going to be so cute. Like, I just can't wait to finish it. I don't know about you. We've been at it for about 45 minutes of complete chaos. One of the nice things too is, remember, the scarf is worked on a hook 1 size up, so it's actually going to go perhaps a little bit faster. And one of the fun things is it's also worked sideways, so you cast on the full length of the scarf, 228 stitches, and then each row is going across them just like the row 2. We're going to work that one nice and even, and it ends up so cute. Again, you can change the colors. It doesn't have tassels on the end as a pom-pom on the hat, but nothing on the scarf. But you could easily add tassels if you want a little bit of pizzazz or color, or add pom-poms on the end if you don't like the tassels. I think some people worried about tassels catching on things. You can add pom-poms on the end, especially if it's a young one that likes to fidget. It's fun to have the pom-poms. A young one, an old one, doesn't really matter. I know people with dementia also tend to get fidgety. I think we all know they tend to scratch on their arms when they get anxious. And so having something like a pom-pom or a little bit of fringe to play with can be a welcome relief for them and keeps them from scratching or harming themselves. Let's work our way across. Leaving 2. Again, we're leaving our weird little stair steppies. Mark this guy off. This is our 2nd repeat of rows 2 and 3. We need to do it 5 times. So up one, slip, slip, crochet back loop only, back across. I'm actually going to stop and pick up a drink here in just a second. Working so hard on this, hoping it goes right. I really love the way that looks at the top though. It's really neat. So I'm excited to see this in the end. It looks just like a cute, simple hat, but and I was kind of wondering because you don't want to get bored either. And although it's simple, it's such an unusual form. It's made it really fun to do. God bless you. Two of you have stuck with me. I wonder if you're working away as well. You're not in the live chat. I don't think so, but that could be if you're working away. Let's see here. How far can we get in these? Again, I say the scarf is going to be super easy, but I'll be looking for updates from all of you. I don't know that you can link pictures in the comments, but you can let me know if you've been successful later. End of the row, it's an even row, works out even. But I'm going to get a little bit of a drink here. You may know I've switched up. I'm back to using either a plastic or glass bottle to drink from. I ended up having a reaction from drinking out of all the stainless steel cups and then using the stainless steel Instant Pot. I don't know. At some point, my hands broke out in this weird rash that looked like I had tapioca under my skin. Fun fact. And so I try not to use quite so much metal anymore, and it went away. It sounds like magic if you knew how painful that rash was. It was my cousin who has the same thing, who alerted me to it. She's like, cut back on your use of metal. And even while it was raging, I used bamboo silverware. Made such a difference. I've gone back to regular silverware, but cut back on the other things. The Instant Pot has a ceramic lined pot that I can use. And so that's been fine. And I just use other cups. And I haven't had the reaction since. So apparently I have a threshold level reaction to the metal. So as long as it's less, I'm good. These are aluminum crochet hooks and they don't seem to bother me at all, but I normally use ones that have a grip on them. I just didn't have them in this small a size, so I wasn't able to do it. I also like the pyramidal crochet hooks and knitting needles, but I didn't have any in these sizes. I've been doing so many blankets lately and using bigger hooks. Okay, it's an odd row. We have two. We're going to leave two left. Chain one, turn, 2 slip stitches, and then single crochet back. Be sure to mark down that was our third repeat, and we need a total of 5. Now, again, I'm not entirely sure that one's going to be right. Remember the last time it didn't quite work out. That's why we're doing it together, right? Camaraderie. Let's get this done together. Don't forget to stop every now and then. Take a break. You may need to stretch out your hands, stretch your legs, stand up and stretch. Have a little snack. But let's see how quickly we can get this done. You'll get it done more quickly if you do it correctly the first time around, right? Yes, we're working on it. So since nobody else is chatting right now, you're all working so hard. God bless you. I love that you're working so hard for the charity, or you're just popping in, making a comment, and popping off, using this as a live Q&A time. But I love watching Scripture and Tradition with Father Mitch Pacwa on EWTN. I watch it on YouTube, so it's at my convenience. I listen to it on headphones. He doesn't normally have any kind of a graphic that you need to see, so I can listen while I'm doing other things. He is just such a Scripture scholar. It's such a blessing. He has finished Wheat and Tares. I know some people, that book was a little intense. It was talking about the scandal in the church, and it might have been a little intense for them. I didn't feel that it was. I thought it was done well, and it talked about the priesthood from a scriptural point of view. I thought that was really lovely, but he has started a new one. He's calling it the Gospel of the Old Testament. He's studying the book of Isaiah, and so this week he went over the introduction, and I thought it was lovely. It was interesting. Did you know Isaiah wasn't all written by Isaiah? But it's not a scandal. Don't worry. Father Mitch explains it, how it was probably written by disciples of his. He calls them children in the book, and he believes they are disciples of his. He explains all this much better than I do. But it was very interesting how he talked about it. I just never heard that before. And talking about how in most of the how Often it is quoted by other books. It's the prophecy book, and he was just calling it, again, the Gospel of the Old Testament, saying it's one of the most important books in the Old Testament. And he came out with a book, a commentary on it back in February. It was printed. I totally was not on my radar, and somehow I missed that they were changing books, so I had to order it. I could only find it in hardback, so it was $25, a little pricey, but I am going to review it for you. Almost as soon as it comes, I'll try and get a review out, mainly so that you can jump into the study with Father Mitch. Jumping into a book study with the actual author of the book is such a blessing, and you learn. There's so much that ends up on the editing room floor, as it were, ends up deleted as they go through. And there's nuances. You've sent emails and texts and been misunderstood or misunderstood something somebody said. So having the author there, he can give you his intent and give you a little bit more background about why he said what. And it's just such an amazing blessing. Okay, turning again, we had an even row. This is our last odd row. And then we have, no, they have the same thing where they say the next one is work is the second row, but it would be the second row. So we're going to have to do 2 more. So we're going to repeat this 6 times, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why that would make a difference. I don't know why second, third, second, third, second, third work just a second. So we end on a second. That doesn't, why doesn't that ever work out? So we're on a third row. And then let's see here. We're on a third row. Okay, so we leave 2. See, we've got our slanty bit, and now we've got stair steps. We're gonna have another slanty bit. It's gonna be exciting to see how it turns. So chain 1, turn, do 2 slip stitches across. So this is row 23. It says work it as a second row, so we're going to go across. Okay, no, this is working out. So 23 is fine. 23 is worked as a second row, and then 24 is just a variation of a third row. So instead of leaving the stair steppiness, leaving 2 at the end, we're going to pick all these up. I'm very excited because our hat is really going to take shape as we do that. It's going to be a very exciting little guy there. And so we're going to get across. So the heart of the hat is rows 13 to 24. So we're just on 23 now. So we're going to repeat sections of 13 and 24 until you get the width of the hat you need. So chain 1. Here we come across. Okay, we're going to go single crochet until we get to the back loop only until we get to the last one. Uh-oh, it's almost noon and I haven't done Duolingo today, so sorry if you're in a French streak or anything with me. I'll pick that up later. Here we go across. I'll lose all my bonuses for the day, but I'll live. I'm enjoying spending time with you all. And here we are working our way across until there's 2 left. This is the exciting part. Okay, 2 left, and then we're still working in back loops only, but we're going to do it 6 times, it says. So pick up these 2, 1, 2, then we're going to drop down to the next one. This is 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2. Here we go. This is the big one. Come down here. 6, 2. This is the very peak of the hat. And look, isn't it? It's starting to curl in. It's starting to make a shape. Doesn't it look great? The shaping is just worked into it. It's so cute. It's gonna look like, it does not look like a little elf hat when you're done. Kind of does. Again, here's our picture if you're joining us late. Isn't it so cute? Okay, so we just do rows 13 to 22 again. This is where my friend who has her sheet all written out ahead of time, she wouldn't have to erase these little marks because she would have her sheet all written out. Her name is Sue. She just is a whiz with it. Sometimes she writes them out on like little index cards. So cute. So again, you could be doing each of these sections, 13 to 24, a different color. That would be a really neat looking little color block hat. Or you could do it variegated. You could use it with a tweed like they did. You can do the hat one color, the pom-pom, and the brim other colors. Now, it doesn't tell you. It just says keep repeating these until the work measures so much round. So we're going to measure the bottom. The bottom is what you want to measure. You're not measuring the top, right? Oops, got to pull on the little fox's tail. Where are we at? We have gotten, without stretching it, that's a little difficult to do. That didn't sound difficult before. We're at 7, so we've done 2 sections, and we're at 7, and we're going for 18. So we are probably going to have 2 to 3 more sections. Now, it's getting difficult to saying without stretching it. Why it's difficult is because it's starting to go around, right? So it's harder to hold it flat. That is going to get harder as we add more sections. So you may have to measure it in chunks. But knowing that each section is, or 2 sections are 7, that's going to help us guess how many times we need to do this. So we're probably going to need, what did I just say, 4 or 5 sections. I'm writing that down for myself. 4 or 5 sections. We've got 2 done. We've been at this for an hour. It's still going to be a fairly quick hat. It just, okay. I'm just dedicated to getting it done. Row 13, which is just repeat, second round. So we're going to turn, chain 1, turn, we're at the very point of the hat. It's a little sketchy looking, right? And we're going to, what do we do on 2? We slip stitch, slip stitch, back loop only, the first 2. Yep, it's definitely getting harder to do here. 1, 2. And then what do we do the rest of them? I think we single crochet in the back loop. Okay, here we go. It is more difficult to go into the back loop of these slip stitches, but that's where we need to go. It doesn't really tell you you're doing that in the 13th, but there's no way you couldn't do it in the slip stitch. You just couldn't skip that much. Your hat would end up as it would have a curl at the top. It would just be a ball. It wouldn't even be a hat, would it? So here we are. We're back again. Just working our way across. I don't know about you, but all kinds of delivery trucks, trash trucks, so much going on. It's a busy time of year. You have all the normal things and then all the extra things. Some of you may actually be out at a Christmas party right now, Advent party, whatever, or a charity party. It'd be great to have a party where, like we had a cookie baking party last week, and I have a group that gets together on Mondays to knit and crochet, but it would have been fun to pick a project that we would all work on somehow, and maybe it's one that you have the knit and the crochet patterns for, and then everybody works on a charity project or a gift project, and then we have them all at the end. That would be so much fun. So let me see here. I want 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now we need to do a 3, which just means we're single crocheting back loop only until we get to the last 2. That's all. Remember, odd rows are odd. And we're going across, having a good time here. Stop, get a little drink, get a snack, do what you need to do. This is a crochet project hat that we're working on here together. We're going to get it done. We're going to make sure we have at least one offering for that Christmas tree that has charity hats and scarves on. Yay, we're going to get at least that done. We're going to get the hat done, and by then we're going to be a master of this stitch, and we're going to be able to easy peasy make the scarves on our own. The only trick is casting on, what was it for this scarf? Cast on to 228. Here's the thing, friends. It doesn't have to be exactly 228. It doesn't even have to be I'd do it in an even number, but that's all you need to do. Make it as long or as short as you want. You could even make the scarf short enough that it just goes around your neck, and you could put 2 buttons here or something, so it doesn't have to be as long. If you don't have enough yarn or you don't have the patience, you can make it shorter. Put a big chunky button or 2 on there. Now here we are up at the tip of our hat again. You can see it's getting a little harder to see those last 2 stitches, so make an effort. Slow down when you get there. Be very intentional and make sure you get it. Mark off your row and then begin at row 2 again, which means we're going to chain 1 and slip stitch the first 2. We're making our little stair step ends, which we've later gather up into this crazy little shaped point hat, right? Yay! Ooh. Now, if I wasn't on YouTube, I would also have Christmas music playing. So if you haven't gotten up to get some Christmas music playing, please go ahead and do that. I'm actually looking at a Christmas tree too. Do what you need to be festive. Sometimes we can go out, and sometimes some years maybe you're sick at home with a cold and you can't quite get out with others, but maybe you can. So make this an enjoyable time for you. Get some charity work done, right? Lovely. Or maybe you have a little in the family that you'd like to make this for, or maybe you're making the largest size. Maybe it's for the breadwinner of the family or someone else. It's kind of got 3 sizes, so it's like a child, a teen, and an adult. But again, it gives you the measurements. So if your person is bigger, just make it bigger as you go along. More sections, right? End of a row 2. Go ahead and mark that down. We'll get a little drink. Thank you for bearing with me. I know a couple of you have been here the entire time. It's been fun hanging out, eating our snack mix, having a little bit of drink, chatting a little bit, and working on this adorable and unique. It's so easy. It's ridiculous, but also it's just at the end of those odd rows you have to pay attention. And really, when you get to that last one where you gather up all the stair steps and make the little point to the top, it's so funny, isn't it? So it's nice. It's like a mixture of that easy project that you can listen to music, chat with friends, or watch something on TV. Maybe you have one of those Christmas movies on, and you can do it, and you just have to really pay attention when you get to the end of that row, right? And then you can look down quick, see where you are. So you can totally do this while doing something else, but it's actually not boring. I'm finding it really fun and easy to do. Just enough of that little bit of variation to keep my attention, and it's really a unique pattern with how it does crochet ribbing, which is sideways, but ends up with a point at the top. So you're actually doing hat shaping. Normally when I do a crochet hat, I'm doing it top down. So top down, and it's worked small, and then you work it to the widest circle, and then you work it straight. Or if you're doing from the bottom up, you have to do like crochet 2 together at the end to get this shaping. So this is a unique way. I'm excited to learn this way of shaping. Okay, get to the end and leave 2. Mark it off. Chain 1, turn. Oh, hi Billy, how are you? Thanks for popping in. Sorry I haven't been able to name the video. YouTube is being super silly today. Nothing I could do about that. But I really wanted to do at least one holiday little special Q&A kind of time for everybody. So I feel like that's, nope, did my 2 slip stitches. Starting to go a little stir crazy. Now, I was distracted by the message. You can see we're starting our stair steps again. We'll gather them up at the end, so don't worry. There'll be a nice little point like our other ones. So we're just doing our single crochet across. If you were still looking for an Advent book, don't worry, it's not too late. I have a nice review out as well on Father Benedict Groeschel did this. Behold, He Comes, Meditations on the Incarnation. You can do it at Advent, but you don't have to do it at Advent. It was a little $9 book. It was a very nice, affordable book. You can pick it up anytime, but here we are, what's today, the 18th? So it's easy peasy. When this happened, it was Advent week 4, the 4th Sunday, it said, December 18th. We're not on a Sunday on December 18th. It's the 18th, isn't it? Now I'm like, oops. Let's see. December 18th, yes. And it starts out with a little quote: "The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Hence, the holy offspring to be born will be called the Son of God." Luke 1:35. He says here, if you have little faith, you may find yourself tempted to explain away any and all the miracles surrounding the birth of our Savior. And we all know people who do that. Any honest reading of the gospel accounts will make clear, even to the unbeliever, that the direct action of divine power is essential to the fabric of this account. Today's O antiphon evokes the image of a burning bush, which, because it was a sign of God's power and presence, was not destroyed by the fire. Many saints have taken this image of the burning bush as a symbol of the perpetual virginity of Mary. Woven through the account of Jesus' conception and birth is the belief of those who participated and of those who knew first-hand accounts that the outstretched hand of God was there. One possibility, the direct action of God's power, is accepted as it must be as an object of belief. Then the gospel accounts make perfect sense. How else could the eternal Word of God, equal to the Father in all things, become man except by God's direct action? Some may ask, why a virgin birth? The obvious answer is, ask God. It is easy for doubt to enter here. It is even easier for mind games to take over. Some believe, but with smoke and mirrors. As we approach the final commemoration of the Messiah's birth, we need to foster a habit of mind that people find difficult. We need to reject quite consciously the rationalist prejudice that the human mind can comprehend everything in heaven and earth. We are surrounded by natural mysteries like gravity, time, and matter. We accept them and go on. Why not the mystery of grace, the mystery beyond the natural world? While it is unwise to attribute motives to God's actions, one can at least meditate on the reason for Christ's coming. The mystery of the human body and soul assumed by the eternal Son of God at the time of the Incarnation requires faith in an absolutely inexplicable act of God's power. It is the grace of all graces. How better could human beings come to appreciate the mystery of the Incarnation than to acknowledge that his mother conceived him entirely by divine power and not by any human intervention? O Adonai and ruler of the house of Israel, you appeared to Moses in the fire of the burning bush, and on Mount Sinai gave him your law. Come and with outstretched arm redeem us. And then that sounds like a prayer, but then there's a prayer. Every day has a little prayer in a box as well. O Holy Spirit, fire of the burning bush, your presence and action did not coerce the Virgin, but freely made her mother of the Son of God. Speak in our hearts with the same divine power with which you spoke to Moses, so that we might believe and come to salvation. Amen. So just a quick little reflection that you can have for your day. Let's jump back in here. Whether you're watching this live or watching it later, when you take a break, sometimes when you come back, see how big that loop is? Go ahead and take that one back, pull it a little bit snugger, and then go back to what you were doing. Don't need one giant stitch in the middle of a hat. That's pretty silly. In knit, it's easy to work it out. In crochet, you can't smoosh it out quite in the same way. Let's see if we can get across. This is one of our even rows. We're just working our way across. So we're getting to the end of an even row. Even rows, we work even. And then you get to the end, go ahead and we're doing single crochets in the back loop only. Mark it down on your sheet, chain one, and we're going to slip stitch back. No, we're not. Oh, I'm starting to get a little cagey here. Chain one, single crochet, back loop only. Across. We're going to work on making our point, right, friends? I like making a point. Do you like making a point? Let's see. Can we see who is on here now? Any comments? Okay. Nope. I know I kind of picked an odd time of day. I didn't have a video ready for Wednesday afternoon. And we do normally on Wednesday afternoons work on charity or music or something a little unusual, crochet project, something creative, something fun, something with the natural world. And so I thought, it's Christmas time, let's have a little Our Blooming Catholic Life Christmas party. And I just jumped on spontaneously, got it to work. I've been having trouble with getting YouTube Live to work, so I haven't done one in a while. And this has been fun. It's nice. A couple of you have commented, chimed in that are regular viewers. It's an odd row, so we leave it that weird, odd stair step. Mark it down. Chain 1 turn. This is where we get our 2 slip stitches in. If you're just joining us, we're working on our little holiday crochet pattern to make a hat for charity, having some snacks, a little bit of drink, and just chatting. Feel free to throw some comment down below, and I'll answer if I can. Just crocheting across. We're working on a new section of our little hat here. This is a free pattern from Yarn Inspirations, and to make the hat and scarf set, you only need 2 skeins of Red Heart Super Saver. If you're using the Karen Simply Soft Tweed, you're going to need 3 to make the whole set. I'm sure it probably works out price-wise. It's just the yardage. You need about 720 yards to make this pattern in its entirety in the largest size. Now, I'm actually making the smallest size, which is just an 18-inch circumference hat. And the only difference, some patterns vary so greatly when you're making different sizes. This one is just, the only difference is the cast on and how many stitches you have in a row. So that's the only difference. There's nothing special that you have to do for other ones. There's not, this row only applies to this size. There's none of that. It says it's an intermediate pattern, but it's really only this funky little pointed end that it's going to give you any trouble at all. Unless you watch from the beginning when in the beginning, I had trouble. I've been crocheting for over 30 years and I had difficulty figuring out what they were saying about that pointy end. It's really neat. You work on the shaping as you go along. Every other row, you're working on the shaping for the top of the hat. It's really a unique pattern, and I've been thrilled to do it with you. Some of you only pop on for a second, and some of you have been on here for an hour. So it's been fun crocheting along with you. Let's just keep going. It's an odd row, so we're going till we have just 2 left. Sometimes it's a little hard to see, and you have to straighten it out. You want to leave 2, not 3. It's going to be harder to pick it up later. We just have 2 more. And then we're going to gather these little stair-steppy guys up and put them in our point. Our hat's really going to come together then, isn't it? It's very exciting to see it come together. It's such a cute little hat. And again, I have a whole set of this to make in blue as well. I'm very excited. This is pink variegated, and brown hat. These were yarns I bought for a little niece and nephew. They were twins. I made blankets out of them when they were born, but I had some left over. And so I've kept it all these years. So what a great thing to do is to do a charity project in their name. I always like to have something special for them under the tree. They're no longer with us. Unfortunately, they did not even live to a year. Little Ashley lived for, now I'm gonna cry. Little Ashley lived for 11 weeks and Tommy lived for 6 months. And it was such a blessing. They were such a blessing in our life, and they changed so many lives. And so every year we like to have some sort of charity project that we do in their memory. So we're going to go across here. This year, we had such a blessing and surprise, and this is going to sound completely odd when I say it, but a friend of ours, his father passed away, and at the funeral, we knew it was in the same cemetery as little Tommy and Ashley, and so we were going to pop over and visit, and we ended up being in the section directly across from them. So just across a little pathway, like a little 2-foot pathway, and they were right there, and so we got to go over and spend some time with their grave, wipe off the grave, clean it up, keep it nice, that sort of thing. It's always lovely to do that. Okay, so we're going to take this one over until there's only 2 left. Ooh, this is it. So we're going to do 1 more even row, and then we're going to come back and do our gather up row. We're going to gather up all this craziness to make another point to our hat, and the hat is really going to come together. That will be our 3rd section we've done. Very exciting. I think I'm going to need 4 or 5 for this size by the end, but this is our 3rd section. Exciting to do and to sit and do with you. If you're doing this live, you want to do this later, and you crochet about the same speed as me, you'll know you can do the hat in about a half an hour less than this video, because first I lost this little hook And then the entire first section, I misunderstood the directions and pulled it out. Now that first section, I will say, took me about a half an hour to make, but then it's really picked up in speed how quickly I can make these sections now that I kind of got the flow of it and understand what we're doing. So lots of great things here. This is a fun pattern. Again, if you stay tuned, it's got a really funky brim on the end, so I'm excited for that. Okay, this is our exciting gather up row. So it's still a single crochet in the back loop only. It's how we gather those little guys up at the end, all our little stair steppies, and we're going to make them into a nice pointed top of the hat. I'll be excited later to add all this. Hopefully when this is all done and I get the scarf done, I can put them in a community post and then you'll be able to see the finished products. I'm very excited. Probably have housework I should be doing. Yes. Today is the day I clean up the rabbit pens and the bathrooms, and I'm eating all this snack mix. I'm surely going to have lots of fuel. Okay, here's the trick row. Here's the trick row. Are you ready? We're going to clean all this raggedy edge up. And see, it's starting to curl under now that I've gotten far enough. It's starting to curl under as I go because there's so much curl from these other ones that have been picked up. Now, so this one, do I leave the 2? It says to the last 2, and then working in back loops only. Oh, I had 3 left. Kept saying you got to watch out for that third guy. This end one keeps getting not looking like an end one. Okay, so we're going to slip stitch. Okay, 1. And I lost it. I got so excited to do this. Let's try it again. Slip stitch 1. Slip stitch 2. Drop down. Get the next one. 2. 2. And then we're going to drop down. All the way down to here. Get the next one. 3, keep these tight. 3, this is making the point of your hat. 4, 4, 5, 5. It says 6 times. Oh, yep. Because I was thinking not to do it, but look, we have to come down all the way down to this 6th one. Make sure you count those, because if not, they're not all going to come together to the point right. Ooh, it's tough to get in there. Okay. Now, can you really see the shape? Maybe hard to see on camera. Can you see it's curling up? It's a cute little hat. It's just so cute. It's just such a cute little hat how it comes together. I'm loving it. Okay, and then we've done our gather. Okay. Measure it out. Get our little foxy fox. Measure it out. Again, this is getting a little tricky because you're not trying to do it so delicately. You don't want to stretch it when you're measuring. Okay, we got to 11 inches. 11 inches. We only need 18 and we're at 11. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and keep going. I'm going to take a 2-minute break. See you back in just a minute. Be right back. I'm back. Sorry, just needed a stretch break. I've been sitting here for about an hour and a half almost, so need a stretch break, a little snack. So we just finished another section of gathering here. We went across all the rows and we had to come down and gather all these up. So now we're going to work our way back across them and back over here. Okay, so chain 1, and we go ahead and slip stitch into back loop only of the first 2 slip stitches. It's a little tricky. This is probably the trickiest part of the whole thing, is doing that slant and then starting the next one. And then after those 2, we're going to switch back to single crochets back loop only. And the whole way across. Again, it's a little tricky into these slip stitches, but it keeps it nice and tight, and that point's really nice. We're going to work our way back across. It definitely gets easier once we get back to the flat part. We're almost there. Just like 2 more. Shoo, back. It's so nice to get back to these, isn't it? Nice and easy peasy again. Hope you're getting your hats all done as well. It'll be fun to see how many of these end up in charities around the country. So this is one we're doing for our library, is collecting hat and scarf sets. But you can do it. Hat and scarf sets are something that people like to decorate their town with. You may want to check with your town manager before you yarn bomb, but a lot of people like to do it where they wait until the weekend when the shops will be busy or they know the area will be crowded. You don't want to do it on like a rainy day, but you tie the scarf around the tree, and so that the hat is tucked into the scarf as you tie it on, and you put a little tag on there that says free. And anybody who needs one can come and grab it. It would be nice if you added the size, if it was the size of a hat, whether it was a child, an adult, or an adult, like child, teen, adult. And sometimes you want to include one. This only has those 3 sizes, but you may want to make some extra large ones. People either have very voluminous hair, or some people, I'm sorry, just have bigger heads than their hat patterns for. So make a couple that are really big if you're donating to a charity like Soup Kitchen or something. You can see my snack mix. It's not very mixed. When you get to the end, this is rice squares, chocolate and peanut butter rice squares, chocolate and peanut butter oat circles with some peanut butter candies and some chocolate chips. I'm on an even end. I'm going to look down. I did not mark off my even row. That was a row 2. So we're going to work our way back across. Again, it's just single crochet in the back loop that makes this fun ribbing. I'm just going to make a super stretchy hat. Even though this says that we're going until it's 18 inches around, that's 18 inches around unstretched. So it is going to be have a little bit of a stretch to it. That's why we're making it in ribbing widthwise. Most knit hats that you buy at the store are actually done in ribbing. They're just done with very small ribbing on machines. That's most of the knit hats you see. So you don't even realize that you're looking at a combination of like knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, making that ribbing. But it's there. That's why knit hats, some people just call them knit hats, are super duper stretchy. This one though is going to have a proper brim. Most knit hats are worked super stretchy with that pattern I was telling you about, and then they just go up to the end and they just gather it when they're done. Why? And they make it much longer than these so that you could double it up. Most of those are made so that you could fold them up the whole way or just a little bit, however much you need that day for that warmth. So it makes it a hat that can be worn in all kinds of weather. Crochet hats don't always have that ability, and because it's a much thicker, chunkier stitch, and certainly this one probably won't because it has a funny little brim. Remember, we did an odd row, so we're leaving 2 unworked stitches, and then we're going to turn, mark that, crochet 1, chain 1, and then we're going to come back with 2 slip stitches, slip, slip. We're starting to make that weird little stair-steppy bit that gets gathered up at the end. And then we're going to go back into our single crochets back loop only. Everything here is done in the back loop only. That is how you make crochet ribbing. Be interesting. Let's see if anybody's commented. Anything down here? You done? Here's, I see. I missed people came on while I popped off to a break. Hi, Linda. Oh, wait, let me see. Come back. It's here and gone so quick. Yep, Christmas lunch with some friends. Nice. Yes, I'm making a crochet hat for charity. I'll put the pattern in the description below. I think that's Leo also. Hello. For whatever reason, silly old YouTube won't let me see the video even on my other devices. So I haven't been able to rename it or link this pattern. If you want to see the pattern, it is right here. It's free at Yarnspirations. Yarnspirations, if you don't know how to spell that. It's a funny word, isn't it? Inspiration with yarn. Yarnspirations. It's called the Karen Crochet Hat and Scarf. They made it with tweed, which would be lovely. I just didn't have any tweed laying around the house. In acrylic. I have since found out the charity I'm crocheting for does also accept wool. You just have to put a special tag on it. So I'll probably come up with a tweed version of this as well, because I'm in love with this pattern now. It's so catchy and so easy. I do have a normal knit hat that I make. That's pretty much, like I told you, it's pretty much like a tube. This one has this funky little pointy end. But we are not on the pointy end, we're on the flat end, so we must be on what? An even row. Be sure you mark it when you get to the end. How am I keeping track of it at this point? Each section is going to be a section of 2 rows. An even row and an odd row. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that one, even though I'm not quite there. And then when I get to the end of those 5, there are 2 special rows. One is normal, and then the next one's pretty wild. So you have to pay attention. Just really on that wild row, and on your very ends, on your pointy ends. That's it. Okay, working across, this is going to be our odd row, so we're going to go over and leave the last 2 undone. That last little bite of snack mix had some dust in it. It's been making me cough a little bit here and there, sorry. So just working my way across. Oh, let's see. Oh, no, Leo, it's actually really, really easy. Single crochet is the most basic stitch in crochet pretty much, and we're just doing it in a back loop. See how there's little like V's going across this top? We're only going into the back one here. That's the only trick. So it looks complicated, but it's not. And it's mostly just going across, crocheting a single crochet in the back loop until we get to the end of the row, and then we're just leaving 2. So it's only every like 12th row that is anything fancy. And that is just gathering up all the little skipped ends into making a point. It's a really fun point. But if you actually want to crochet a hat, all you have to do is know how to do this single crochet, and you can actually just make a square and gather the top up. When you're done, and when you gather the top up when you're done, bam, you have a hat. You sew the back seam, gather up the top, and you've made a hat. So you can make a hat out of a simple square. All you have to know how to do is make a square. This is just something a little bit different, a little bit fun. Let's see here. Slip 1, slip 2. Feel free to put some Christmas music on or to chat away. I would have Christmas music on, but then YouTube would be like, you don't have the copyrights to that music. And I don't blame them. People should be able to get paid for their work, right? It's fair. I know we all grumble about it, but it is fair. So we're just crocheting across. It is getting a little bit more difficult. You can see the top of the hat is trying to come together on its own. So the hat is forming. We've been at this for a while now. We've been at this for about an hour and a half. And if you take out the time that I messed up and had to run it out, we've been at this for about an hour. So the hat's really coming together in just an hour. So it is a quick project. And again, the scarf. So if you're not willing to do the hat, maybe you have a friend who can do the hat and you can do the scarf, or you could just do the scarf. Scarves really do help people warm up. Now they have you casting on 228 for the scarf, but you don't need to cast on that much. You could probably cast on about half and then wrap it around. Person can just wrap it around their neck and just put a little button there or something to shut it up. It could even be a piece of Velcro. I don't know, whatever you need to do to get that closed, right? So that is just a lovely idea. You could always just be the one that crochets the scarf, which is it's very simple. It's just our crocheting a single crochet in the back loop only across, and the rows are 228 stitches long, so there's not even a lot of places to turn. If your ends don't end up even, if this edge like on your scarf doesn't end up even, so what? Add fringe or pom-poms. No one will ever have to know. It is just a great way to hide that. You have no fear there. Lots of people have done that. You would not believe how many people have done that over the years, and no one has ever noticed. Or if you're making it for a very small child, they tend not to notice these things, so you're probably pretty safe there as well. Also, if you wanted to jazz it up a little, we've done in previous years where you can buy little hair bows and clip-on animals. Make a glass. Oh, I know this sounds crazy, but you can just crochet it the color of an animal and get a little character clip-on and clip that animal on. Like, it's that easy, or a contrasting color. So you can personalize it for people too, by the color, but also the things you clip on. Those little hair bow clip-ons are normally, they're one of those things that are super cheap at the holidays because they sell them in like bulk packages for people. And so you just go get one of those little hair bow things, stick it on, and you can just clip it right on the hat or on the scarf. They don't have to know that you didn't make it. And honestly, if you clip it on and it's a Christmas one, then they can take it off after Christmas and look, it's a regular scarf. And then when they want it back to be Christmassy, they can just clip it back on. You can have a variety of clip-ons for them to make it personal for any season. Now, some of the clip-ons are literally like a pinchy clip, like almost like a chip clip, right? But some of them have a hook and loop, almost like a keychain you could put them on. You could put on all kinds of charms and beads. Now, if you were somebody who did beadwork, if you've ever done crochet or knit beadwork, of course you could add beads as well. Now you're saying, that is way above my skill level. I could never work beads into a hat or scarf. Okay, so don't work them in, sew them on later. It's not that big a deal. Don't make things harder than they have to be. You can also, now this is a stretchy hat, so it would be a little tricky, but if it's a plain hat, not ribbing, you could easily buy like an iron-on patch and sew it on. Please don't ever iron a patch on acrylic yarn. It's not going to go well. But you could sew it on with tack it on with just a few little basic stitches. What else can you do? Let's see if anybody has any ideas in the chat. Oh, nope, that was our last one. Yeah, so this is just a super quick and easy hat. It is ribbing, but again, you can personalize it. Also, these have pom-poms on the top, and if you want the pom-pom, but you don't want to make them, the stores sell them now. But again, that's a place where you could get a character, some sort of little clip-on to put up there, be super cute for the kid or adults. Some adults love super cute things like that too, and you could put that up there instead. Okay, getting to the end of the row, so I have to pay attention because I have to make sure I leave 2. I always want to leave 3. That first one is always like hiding from me, and that's because of these slip stitches. When we turn that row to do our even row, row 2, we have to slip stitch 2, so it can be a little difficult to see them on our way back. So all I do is slow down when I get there. Ooh, we're almost at the end of another section, and this hat is really coming together. I don't know how close we are. We could be on the last section or one more. I'm not sure, and it's very exciting. I can't wait to find out. It's just so cute, and I'm so excited to do this brim. I've never done a brim like this brim before. It looks flat, which is going to be weird on a ribbing hat, and then you have a flat brim. Normally, the brim is the part that has the ribbing, and the hat will be smooth. This has it the other way around. Very exciting. I can't wait to see what it looks like. And I realized I only had 60% battery when I started this. And I think I thought I was going to work faster. Well, Who thought I'd have major mistakes in the beginning? Not me, obviously. So hopefully I have enough battery. Okay. Just a couple more rows. This is our last normal row where we leave 2 at the end. It's an odd row. Where we're going to leave 2 at the end. And we have one nice normal row, and then we gather them all up. We're going to gather them all up. I'm very excited to see how the hat comes together after this one. When we gather them all up, the little stair-steppy ends we've been making when we've been leaving 2 at the end of every row, they're going to get picked up and worked into a point and joined to the main body of the hat. So we're getting very close here. Very close. It's very exciting. Okay, we're going to still leave 2. Concentrate, look at it. Again, it looks like 2, but it's really 3. So make sure I only leave 2. Don't want to make a super pointy elf hat. Now, if you wanted to make a super pointy elf hat, you probably could just leave more at the end. Instead of leaving 2 every time, leave 5 or 6, whatever you think. I would add those stitches to the stitch count on the initial cast on. But you could do that. If you wanted a standy uppy pointy hat, yeah, just add some cast ons to the end and then just use those make sure that you use those. Add that to your number for your stair-steppy edges, right? Okay, getting there. It's exciting. Okay, this is our last even worked row. It takes us down to the brim area of the hat, which is boring and plain for now, but soon it's going to have an exciting brim on there. I really can't wait. Can't wait. So I was asking earlier what everybody has been doing for Advent. I've actually been doing a Matthew Kelly book. If you haven't watched that review yet, you need to watch it. It aired on Monday. It is 33 Days to Eucharistic Glory. You're going to have to watch that review. It is a Matthew Kelly book that I liked 90% of it. Like, that it's huge for me. When it was good, it was amazing. There are a couple still, and I'm not trying to be offensive, but kind of boomer specific things that were in there, buzzwords and name dropping, that I always feel is unnecessary and actually ends up turning off other generations. So I kind of wish somebody would edit that out. I'm a Gen Xer. I'm sure I'm doing plenty of Gen X things that drive the rest of you nuts, but is what it is. So for that book, there were a couple things I wasn't super thrilled with, but a lot more that I was really happy with. So what else could you do with that? On Friday, I'm going to show you a video telling you what you can do with that book, how you can use it in your parish and in your everyday life. And so I'm very excited for that. Again, it was a book by Matthew Kelly. It didn't say it was by Dynamic Catholic, though. It said it was by another group. Okay, we got to our end. We left 2, and now we're going to start slip stitching. We're going to slip stitch, and then we're going to drop down and get the next 2 slip stitches. Drop down and get 2, and we're going to bring it all the way back to this point. I think this is really going to enclose our hat, really make it circle around for like on top of your head. You're going to see it's going to start becoming a circle. It's going to be a very hatty hat, kind of like a bowl, if that made sense. I'm trying to say it in multiple ways so that people will know what I'm saying. I didn't do my counting this time. I was just counting 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I didn't count 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2. Oops. To make sure I get all 6 sets of 2. I do believe there's one more. Yep. Oh, I want to make sure you get these ones nice and tight because they're so far down. Woohoo! There we go. See, it's really curling up now. So cute. It really does want to curl up. Let's pull this one big so that we can give it a measurement. Remember, we have to be careful now not to stretch it as we measure across the bottom of the hat. Grab my cute little foxy fox. You can use any tape measure. It doesn't have to be a fox. The fox is just cute. Okay, I don't even know how I got the fox. It was probably a gift from someone. So here I am measuring. I try and just do little sections of the time that I lay the tape measure on. Ow! It's just over 15. I'm going to have to do one more section. We can do it. One more section. That's not bad. Okay. We can do it. Okay. So chain 1. This is again tricky when we have to start picking these up. Slip stitch 2 across. 1, 2, and then we're going to single crochet back loop only the rest of the way. It's interesting that even your slip stitches need to be back loop only, but that is how we keep the pattern uniform for the hat. Otherwise, the top of the hat where it's gathered would look flat and the rest would have all these great ridges, and that would look really weird. Definitely would not be the same cute little hat at all. If that's something that you like, though, go for it. You can do that. It's not what I'm doing. This first row is always a little tricky when we're starting a new section. And then once you get back on the flat part, it's as you work across this slanty part that gets difficult, but now we're going in our regular row. It's going to be easy again. And by difficult, I just mean you have to pay a little bit more attention and it's a little bit tighter to work into. Single crochets tend to give you a little bit more flexibility and room to work in than do the slip stitches. But it's easy peasy. We're going across. Oops, I didn't make my new chart. Here's my pencil. I'm going to make 5 more dashes. 3, 4, 5. Oops. Remember, I've been doing this down here at the bottom. I need 5 sections of this 2-row repeat, and then there's the 2 special rows at the end. So 1 more section of this. If you've been hearing some weird sighs in the background, if you're been around this channel for a while, you know I have a nice little dog, Rusty. He's a little Australian Shepherd. He is blind and old. He's probably about 14, and I think he's bored out of his mind. That is actually not my fault. This morning when we went on our morning walk, he saw 0 girlfriends this morning. 0 girlfriends. How long will it take to make a hat like this? I'm thinking start to finish, it's going to be about an hour and a half. I'm talking really fast, so I'm really energetic. It could take you about 2 hours, but you could easily do this in an evening. And that's one of the reasons I chose this pattern, is because crochet is quick. In a lot of ways, I like to knit. I can knit without looking, whereas you see with the crochet, I'm looking down a little bit more, especially on the end of those rows. Knit, I don't have to look as much, but knit takes longer than crochet. Crochet takes more yarn, knit takes less yarn. So I always have to depend on the project. If I only have a little bit of yarn, I'll try, but I have time, I'll do it knit. If I have enough yarn and less time, then I do crochet. This one, I just thought crochet would be a little bit easier to show people, and doing a live video, I thought crochet for short. So I think easily you could get this done in about 2 hours. Now, if you want to add the scarf, it may end up, I don't know if that's going to end up being another hour or another 2 hours, but certainly you could, if you didn't have anything else to do in your day, get this done in 3-4 hours in a day. Could be a weekend project for you maybe, which is something that's doable, especially if you're, okay, we're in an odd row. We have to leave those 2 at the end. Especially if you're doing any traveling and you're not the one driving. If you're driving, please do not knit or crochet. But if you're going somewhere where you have to sit and wait for people, even if you're going out to eat, this is something that you could take with you. This is a pattern that you probably could take to a party if you have knit and crochet friendly friends, because it's only at the end of the row where you really have to pay attention. And you can see I've been talking and chatting with you this whole time, so you could totally take this somewhere. But if you're a passenger in a car or a plane, this is absolutely something that you could take with you to do and possibly have done by the time you get there. So stop on your way out of town, grab yourself 2 skeins of Red Heart Super Saver. You can make this, or Karen Crochet, Karen, what was it, Simply Soft Tweed. I think that would make, well, a softer hat than Red Heart. Red Heart's not the softest yarn. It's the standard that most people use, and it holds up well to abuse. So especially if you're making it for a kid or somebody who does a lot of work outside, a lot of work or a lot of play outside, you may want to have this as your hat. Okay, end of a nice row. Apparently I missed one. We're getting it done. We're getting it done. Let's see, any other comments? Any super chats? Nope. Feel free to send me a super chat. Okay. Coming back. I know not everyone has stuck with us, but you may not have had your supplies at the beginning. So, be charitable. I just popped on here live and didn't have the description up. YouTube is just being wonky and not letting me get it on, or I'm not smart enough to figure it out today. I used to be able to edit the titles and let people know about half an hour before I went live, and there was an update, and I haven't figured it out yet. So I'm just doing the best I can. So to do this project for the hat, it says that you need a size 7, US 7 crochet hook. I have never heard of a US size 7. I do not have one in any of my sets, and a lot of them were purchased as sets, but it is between a G and an H. So I am using the H and going down one size. If you know that you knit larger than you need to for your gauge, then go ahead and use the G. Do whatever you feel comfortable with. Again, it's a hat and a scarf, so it's not the biggest thing to get gauge. It's nice to have, but I wouldn't fret over it for a hat and a scarf. Since I'm using the H, I'm just going down and doing the smallest pattern. I'm going to see how it turns out. Oops. Whoopsies. I was on a turn row on the point. I tried to do a single crochet. You have to start out with 2 slip stitches, back loop only. That is how we make our point at the end. You can see we're decently far in because we have our stair-steppy bit. We'll gather that all up. It ends up smooth like the others. You can see the hat is really coming together. It's very exciting to have it come together. And we're just working our way across. A couple more rows of this repeat, and then we'll be ready to make sew the back seam and make our fancy brim. So if you've never sewn a back seam, I'll be honest, do it however you want. There's lots of ways to do it, and in fact, this pattern does not give you a way to do it. What you are going to want, though, is what makes it the easiest is to have some sort of a darning needle. Darning needles are normally big fat needles that they use to fix holes in things. I don't know that anybody uses them for that anymore, but maybe they do. But a darning needle you can thread the yarn onto, and you'll be able to sew just like a regular needle and thread. Of course, you can do it with your crochet hook or figure out other ways to do it. Doing our turning row of an even row. So work our end even. That's the bottom of the hat. That's going to go above our little eyebrows there. We're just working our way back across. Who is on today? Let's see. Oh, thank you. Blessed Ember Wednesday to you too, Leo. Very exciting. And I see you're donating in pounds. So you are probably not from the US. So these sizes of crochet hooks, if you feel so moved to do it, is the H, the one I'm using for the hat, is 5.0 millimeters. And the one I'm using for the scarf is 5.5 millimeters. So I'll tell you that because English, all these crochet terms would be different in England as well. If you're anywhere where you have English terminology, everything is off one. So when I say a slip crochet, that's like a single crochet in English. So whoops, good to know. I did forget to ask that in the beginning, but it's exciting to know. But thank you for that little tip. Always exciting. I use the money, obviously, to buy books. I bought that book by Father Mitch Pacwa to review for you later in the week. It's on Isaiah. He has a commentary on Isaiah that he's going to be working through on EWTN. And it is a $25 book. So I wanted to get it to review it for you because everybody's going to say, is it worth the $25? And so we'll find out. I'm pretty sure it will be if it's by Father Mitch, but let's review it. I also got for you this week, because however you feel about it, more information is going to be good. I bought the book by Kennedy Hall called Charismania. And what is it about? It's about the charismatic movement. And whether you like it, hate it, love it, you just may know people who are involved in it and you don't understand some of the things they do or some of their thought processes. That's where I am. Several people, my church, I'm in Maryland in the United States, and there are a number of those covenant communities were in Maryland. Most of them have failed or folded, but not all of them. And those people still exist. So they have wounds and scars, but also preferences and ways of doing things that are heavily influenced from how they lived in those communities. And so that's the main reason I got the book, but I wanted to review it for you as well. He said he was going to have a lot of information on those communities, and I have found a lot of people I've run into in parish ministries that are basically orphans from those failed covenant communities, or folded, whatever you want to say. And they're in our parishes and they do things differently, and it does not always work out well. So if we can kind of understand some of their logic, I think we can, be better brothers and sisters in Christ. So I'm very excited to review that book as soon as it comes as well. I had it's just some other books I'm going to do that aren't religious related, but kind of fun. Kim and Penn Holderness has a book on everybody fights, so why not get better at it? And they wrote this book, I believe, with their marriage therapist. You can see I got it on a clearance sale. I also got this one. I don't even understand it. It is written by a New York Times bestselling author, and we just kind of laughed ourselves silly. It's called Hope Never Dies, and you can see it's Obama riding shotgun with President Biden. America needs a hero, and we've got two of them. It sounds pretty goofy, and so we just wanted to look that up. So sometimes we add some lighthearted books as well as all of our educational and theological books. We like to have a variety because you may see it too and be like, hey, what's that? I think most people who watch this channel have a little bit of a Franciscan bent, or at least some curiosity about the world, and see the world a little bit differently with a different sense of humor and all than some people. So I like to have things on here for all of you because we are whole people, like, right? We're body and soul, and we live in the world. We can be not of it, but live in the world, and we do need to address the world. Uh, St. Francis for a while wanted to go be a hermit and just go live off in a cave in the mountain. And he had St. Clare and one of the brothers, and I can't remember which brother, he asked them to pray to God about it and really help him discern what he should do. And they both came back with the same message, telling Francis, no, don't go be a hermit. The world needs you. But yes, like, have prayer and time for reflection. And he did have lots of mini retreats that he went on in times of prayer and fasting. But he also lived many times in the world, traveling, giving sermons, ministering to the brothers, begging for alms. So he lived both ways. And that can be such a blessing for those of us in the world. I am a third order Franciscan. That's why I wear the towel. That is the symbol of the secular Franciscans in this day and age. So we're one of the third orders of St. Francis. There's several out there for laity. Some people would argue that point. I'm not going to argue that point at all. There are several of us out there, and we are a particular group. And yeah, we try to follow in the footsteps of St. Francis as he followed in the footsteps of Christ, right? And so many of the ways we do that is we do a lot of good works. We do charitable works. A lot of us have a special care for the environment. Now, we don't worship the environment by any means, and we know that man's needs would come first, but also we know that God has revealed himself to us in a special way through nature. A lot of the supernatural is revealed to us through nature, and so we should take some time to care about it. And in fact, we was talking earlier about, I think it's fallen down, Father Benedict Groeschel has the book on the incarnation, and why was the incarnation so special? And it's interesting when you do some of the readings of St. Francis, what you're told as a kid is maybe not exactly the entire truth, which is totally normal, right? You don't tell kids the entire truth. But St. Francis's love of animals were because they reminded him of Christ or of things in the supernatural world. So there's many stories about St. Francis and, like, lambs, seeing a lamb go to slaughter, or somebody donated them a lamb. And when it was a lamb in particular, St. Francis did eat meat. Not when, of course, when he was fasting. He did a lot of fasting, but on feast days he would eat meat to help with that celebration. But if somebody had given them a lamb, that was a particular challenge for him, because the lamb going to slaughter reminded him so much of Christ, he could not bear it. But he also wasn't able to care for animals. So if somebody gave him a lamb, or he purchased it from somebody when it was going to slaughter, or tried to purchase it, I think in the end the people always gave them to him because his reverence and sorrow were so great. But he really couldn't keep the animals either, and so he would give it to somebody under the stipulation that it would be able to live its life out. There's talk about St. Francis and the cricket, or the time. I think I have the painting. It's usually behind me. It's just up this way, of St. Francis preaching to the birds, and I think the birds were near one day when he was preaching, and so he gave them their own special sermon about how they sing the praises of God so beautifully. That was something that had come up in research one year. Let me see if there's any chats before I go off in another message. Oh, you do use inches. Okay. The hooks actually do have millimeters on them. They don't have inches, but it is the small hook is an H or a 5, and the big one is an I or a 9. I know that does not make sense, but those are the numbering systems that are on there. You use inches. And where are you if you're using inches but paying in pounds? That is interesting. Anyway, I was going to talk about something about St. Francis, and I've completely lost it. That's okay. We're on our special row where we're going to gather all this up and add it to our point, and I think this is our last one in the hat. Very excited. Okay. Ending on a 23rd row. Oh. That doesn't even make sense. Well, you can't end on a 23rd row. The 23rd row doesn't gather them. See, there's little mistakes here. So it says end on a 23rd row, but you really can't end on a 23rd row because then you wouldn't have gathered the top up. So here we are gathering our top up. We're going slip stitching in all those forgotten 2 stitches at the end. We're just gonna, it just gathers them all up and makes them into a point. It is a tiny bit fiddly. It's easy peasy to get the first one, but the second one, because it's so far down, it gets pulled a little tight sometimes. It can be a little difficult, but stick with it. You'll get it. Okay, I'm very excited that this should be the end of the hat proper. Let's see. This very last one is always the most difficult. Ta-da, I'm going to pull that up nice and big to leave it. You can see the hat really it's like, I want to be a hat. Let me be a hat, lady. Okay, measure it. I'm going to get my little tape measure. It is a fox, don't judge. And we're going for 18 inches. It does tell you, just in case somebody wanted centimeters, 45 and a half. And at that, my tape measure actually switched over to metric. Oh, when I was a kid, when I got to 5th, we learned inches and all when I was a kid. When we got to 5th grade, they made us learn metric, and by 6th grade, the U.S. had abandoned it. We were not happy children with those. Oh my goodness, friends, it ended up exactly at 18. Yay! So we needed 3 extra sections of this at the end. Ta-da! So how many sections do we have? Can you see? 1, that's 2, 3, 4. So I think it's 4 sections. Did our small hat. And now I need scissors. So I'm going to cut this nice and big so I can cut more off later. Let's see if I have a darning needle here. I've been doing lots of projects here over the last week, so no guarantee. Aha. I have a plain one. This is a silver one. See how plain it is? And this is an angled one made specifically for working with yarn. So I'm going to use this blue one. Either one is a nice contrast to the project too, this hot pink. So either one would work to do it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and thread the needle. Ta-da! And then the trick is I need to go back through this loop. This is going to fasten this end off. Okay. Now, it doesn't really matter which of these is the inside and the out. They're identical, so it's not going to matter. We are going to have to sew our back seam. You're going to want to line that up together. See if you can get it to lay flat. Straight across. I'm going to line up where that bend is with the piece at the top. Okay, you could also have sewed it if you left yourself a nice long tail at the end. Could leave it there. I'm going to start just zigging and zagging the top. We have lots of great loops left from where we made our hat, but because I probably am going to put a pom-pom so the very top can be a little bit messier. And I always want to make sure that that's super secure. Why? Because a lot of cold air can come in at the very top. If you were doing a ponytail hat, you would have left that top open. But that's a different beast. We can talk about that on another day. Okay, so as you can see, the edges, because we did back loop only, there's still an edge. Can you see how there's like a little loop available? We're just going to sew those loops together. I'm literally just going to go back and forth between them. You can do it, and I could do it where I go back in this way, and then the next one I go in that way. That would be like normal running stitch sewing. I'm probably going to do a whip stitch. A whip stitch normally holds it a little bit better. Again, there's no directions on this in the pattern, so you can choose however you want. The point is to hold those edges together. You want to make sure that angle change is right. So the whip stitch, we're just only going in one direction. So I'm going to pull it back, and I'm going to start the same direction. I'm going to go in from right to left. I'm going to do this the same way every time. And it's going to make a loop that pulls tight. Just going to go in. Oh, pull that loop tight. It's just called a whip stitch, mainly because I don't know why. I think people do it very fast. Do it a little bit faster than the other way. Could be wrong, but these kind of all line up, so it's making it pretty easy. You can probably do a couple at a time and then pull it. You really can't do that when you're going with a running stitch, but this one you can. Again, I'm just kind of sandwiching it together, doing a couple whip stitches. You can see if you I tried to do 3 at a time there, it didn't go as well. Maybe only 2 at a time. Again, you want your corner to do it. Now, how do you get your corner to stay together where you want? Well, you can take, you don't really use pins like you do in sewing, but you can use a crochet hook as like a pin, or you could use another one of those darning needles to help hold it together right where you want it as you're sewing this back seam together. Again, I'm very excited to get this sewn and ready to go, and we're going to do that really unique brim. Definitely excited about it. I'll check the comments just as soon as I get this whip stitched on. Oh wait, maybe I should check to see if somebody says something about the stitching. I love that. Remember, I'm English. We invented the imperial system. Oh, is that why it's imperial? I thought it was for the evil empire in Star Wars. No, I don't hear many people talking about British using the imperial system. So that's interesting. I don't know that you're British entirely. Wait, you did just say that you were. I probably had too much of that snack mix. Again, it's a low sugar snack mix, but you can see I probably don't need any more than that. It is past my lunchtime. I got on here probably maybe 10:30, probably 10:30. And it's now almost 1 o'clock. Remember, I goofed up a lot. My first time through, I had to rip out the hat. The first section I had done wrong. Then once I figured out the method, I make all the mistakes, so you don't have to. Okay, so now I've sewn that whole edge. See, pretty nice. I do want to weave this end in somehow. And I normally just try and make it look like another one of the stitches, but it's crochet, so you can really just stick it in the middle of the stitches. You really can't see it. The only trick with this one is you're going to want to go up a row. You don't want to go back and forth over these ridges, because then you're going to flatten out your ridges. That there's nothing good will come of that. So I just I go back, I catch 1 stitch. So I'm looping around 1 stitch, then running up that row. If I want to run down the other row, I'll be very careful at how I go over. But I like to put a lot of extra in here just in case anything rips in the hat. There's actually a lot of extra yarn right there ready to go to fix the hat. I don't know that the person who gets this hat off the Christmas tree will need that or be someone who would be willing to fix a hat, but just in case, I like to leave a decent amount there. So I'm going to cut that off, and then we can start our fancy pantsy brim. I was surprised at how much yarn I had left. Okay, so this is what the back seam looks like on that side. Let's see how it looks on this side. See? I mean, it's there. It's a little bit flatter than the rest of the hat, but not bad. See how that comes together, that shaping at the top? Isn't that really neat? Okay, how do we do the brim? We had talked about doing it in the variegated color. It's always nice. Yeah, this is like 12-year-old yarn, so bear with me as I figure out the ends. It's caught up in the paper. There are 2 ends going here. Okay, this one has a knot in it, so this is probably the one I was using. Grab our pattern back. And so it says, we're going to again make our pretzel shape and go grab the underneath bar, pull it tight. There we go, we have a slip stitch on here. Join yarn with a slip stitch at the back seam, 1 stitch from the bottom edge of the hat. So we have to find that splat spot, because that's where we're going to join it. 1 stitch from the bottom of the hat. Sounds funny, but okay. That's what we've done. And we're going to run 63 surface chains, 1 stitch from the bottom of the edge of the hat. So what we do is we're going to insert in, pull up a loop, and just go in. We're surface chaining. So 1 for each. So how many did we cast on for our hat? Let's go back and look. We cast on 30, and they want us to have 63. So it's probably going to be like 2 for each of the ridges. So we're going to need a lot of these. Try and make sure you get in your 2. So we're kind of flattening out our hat, but we're also stretching it. I did wonder about that. Did anybody else wonder about that? How are you going to do that? So it's kind of like embroidering onto the hat, and you need to make sure it's all on there. Could be a little tricky to keep it level. Maybe I should have done this in the hot pink. I don't know. I think it's working pretty well. You can kind of see it as you go along. So this is how we're like flattening it out to work on the brim so that it goes on easier. And the hat will stretch over your head as you need it. It makes the brim a little bit bigger. Am I counting these? Oh, no. I'm so not counting these. I don't know that I really need to count them. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to work 2 in each one around. I'll be honest, I'm not counting. Not gonna count. Let's see if there's anybody in there. Oh, hey. Yes, there's Christmas music playing at the top of the hour from our Christmas clock. I didn't know you could hear that. Hello. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, everybody. My husband knows I've been doing this all day now. I'll get the housework done, I swear. I've just been having a Christmas party here with my friends at our Blooming Catholic Life. We've been making hats for charity. We've had some snack. We've discussed some previous and some upcoming book reviews. I also attached, for some of you who may not have seen it, sometimes I add things in the playlist. I did find an excellent movie review on the new Mary movie that's out on Netflix. A lot of people have been asking about that. I'm not going to watch it, especially after I saw that. If my husband's still here, he'll laugh. It has Anthony Hopkins in it, and I'm terrified of Anthony Hopkins, so I would not have watched the movie. Anyway, apparently he plays Herod, and he plays Herod as Herod should be played, and good for him. I feel like I would have nightmares for years watching that, and nobody needs that. Nobody needs that, and so I have not watched the movie, but I did find a priest does a really good review. There are some lovely points in the movie. Surprisingly, there are some lovely points. It's an odd movie. It is apparently produced by Joel Osteen, and it's supposed to be directed by a Catholic, but there's definitely some points in there that do not match with Catholic teachings. And so I won't shock you by the priest says you probably don't need to watch it, but he does go into greater detail if you have questions about that. So there's the movie reviews are very small. I've done a couple in the past, but sometimes I add other people's videos. If they're going to be edifying to us, why not add them into the playlist as well? So I've done that with that. If you missed it, I probably put it on the community post, but if you missed it or I missed putting it up there, please go back and watch it if you're at all tempted or you know people talking about that movie. You're probably going to want to watch that review. It's not terribly long, and he does give you his thoughts. He really justifies his thoughts. Let's see what we have here. Right. Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's the first red flag, right? Joel Osteen says things that aren't in scripture all the time. You know, the prosperity gospel, Jesus never said, "Follow me and I will make you rich." So if he's already saying something that's odd like that, maybe we should not be watching his movie on Mary. Part of it is it relies a lot on I'm going to say the wrong word, but the Gospel of James, which is not in the canon of Scripture. And I mean, that's where we know about Joachim and Anne, Mary's parents, and that Mary was dedicated at the temple. And so, yes, we get some information by there, but it's not scriptural. And so it makes for an odd basis for the movie. Again, the priest describes it much better than I ever would. He watched it and he did not encourage people to watch it. He said he did describe the really beautiful moments. And if you want to know what those are, I do encourage you to go look at that review because he really was moved by it. And so he's going to describe that in a much deeper way than I ever could. Okay, we're working our way around here. We're just doing a surface chain slip stitch, going our way around this hat. Through. We're doing it about one stitch from the bottom of the hat. It is opening the hat up. I believe it's supposed to do that. It's a little hard to see in a flat picture. I've not seen an example of this yet. I've worked my way around. It definitely did open the hat up. Where our hat is super stretchy ribbing. So this is kind of flattening it out because it's twice as many stitches as the cast on. What do we do as we come around? As we come around, it says, first round, make chain 1, single crochet in the top loop of each surface chain around. Okay. So I think that's when it says top loop this time, we're really working in the back loop. I don't know why. It is top as I'm going around. I'll show you in just a second. You may be able to see this because of the color changes that are going on. So I'm going to just do a couple so you can see what I'm talking about. So it's technically the top as you're holding it and working it, but you're really working in the back loop of this surface one. Can you kind of see that? Okay, so here we have our surface crochet. Now we're going into those. And we're doing a round of single crochet around, but then the second round we're going to slip stitch in each stitch around, and then we're going to, and that says repeat last round 6 times more. I'm not entirely sure if that's the slip, I believe that's the slip stitch because that's how you would have that nice flat stitch going. So we're going to have 7 rounds of slip stitch after this, and then our hat will basically be done. Remember when I said I had 2 ends of the yarn working? Yeah, that's led to chaos here. Okay, so if I can get these 2 ends apart. I'm not working on the correct end. Well, I'm working from the outside. So our hat is coming along nicely. How long is it taking me to work on this hat that I'm now working on the very brim? It says 139 minutes, but 30 of those were making a mistake. So we'll just count about 100 minutes so far. So like I said, I guessed it was going to probably be about 2 hours. The hats, it's not a lot of work, but you do have to pay attention at the ends. So the scarf, I think you could easily do in an hour or two, because the scarf is just the same 2 rows repeated over and over. And so I think you actually could do that one really fast without really paying attention. That's the thing. This, you have to pay attention when you got to the pointy end of the hat. You can see, though, this is making it a little bit floppy at the bottom. So I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that or not. It did not look as... I knocked it down. Now, it depends on which hat they have. On the little ones, it doesn't seem to make a difference, but see on this one how much it stretched it out. So I'm not entirely sure which one is more accurate. You may not know this, but there's sales going on, and they all want to tell me about them. Okay, let's see if there's any more chat. Okay, no. So we'll go ahead and do this around. We can decide whether we like it or not later. We can always rip this out if we don't like it. It's not a huge deal. I think it's going to be really cute, just how much it stretches it out or not. Again, I didn't really count, but I tried to do 2 for every row. That's what I needed to do. So I am just crocheting in a circle. It is kind of neat with the variegated on there. You could, again, do it in the same color, or I also had the brown that the variegated is going to pull out. And of course, this is going to match the scarf. The scarf is going to have different elements of these colors as well. I really wasn't sure I had enough to do the entire thing in one color, but I'm guessing the 3 balls that you need, a lot of the yarn is going to be taken up in the scarf, and that may be for the largest size. They didn't have yarn requirements. They were the same across the board. They didn't have different yarn requirements for the different sizes, and there are 3 sizes. This is clearly a child size now that I'm almost done with it. I have a very large head, or I would try it on for you. I cannot do that. I don't even have a stuffed animal laying around. Sometimes I do, just for trying on hats. And I do not. And I can't even put it on little Rusty because he has uppy ears, so he can't wear a hat. If one of my little down-eared friends was here, he could try it, but they're all in their homes, and that's why my little doggy is sad today. We covered that earlier. If you hear him sighing every now and then, he did not manage to see any friends this morning, not a single friend. And it wasn't particularly cold out, so I'm not sure. Most of his friends are short-haired dogs, and so they stay in, and we don't see them in the winter as much. His long-haired friend, there's a Malamute that lives around the corner. She was not out, and she wasn't at the window this morning, so he's definitely a sad little puppy. He didn't see any people. I didn't take him down to the store for biscuits this morning or anything. And so he has not seen anyone, so he's a little sad and bored. And honestly, it's probably just about his time to go for a walk. So I'm just going to finish this around, and then I'll start the slip stitches and show you, and we will let you go. God bless you. Some of you have been with us this entire broadcast, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Again, our snack mix was a simple cereal snack mix. I can put that in the comments below. I was just drinking iced tea. I'm always drinking iced tea. You know me. And then this was a nice simple hat pattern that just had some techniques I'd never seen before. Were they particularly difficult? No, they took me a minute to wrap my mind around it, but then they were quite lovely to do. So I'm working on this unique headband now that at the end of the hat, it's a ribbed sideways hat, so the ribbing goes across this way, so the hat is super stretchy. And then when you're done, you do a surface crochet 1 stitch up from the bottom on the hat, and then you do a single crochet all around in the back loop of that, and then we're just going to do 7 rounds of slip stitch on that. Now, you probably want to see after all this time, this finished hat. Like I say, I'm trying to get the whole way around. I'm almost around. And we'll do some of the slip stitches and then we'll stop this recording and I'm going to finish it and it will be up on the thumbnail later, as well as we'll probably make a community post as soon as I get this done. But as soon as I finish this video, we're going to do just a little bit of these slip stitches so you can get an idea of them. And then we'll have to walk Rusty. We have to clean rabbit pens, wipe down the bathrooms quick, and ooh, thankfully it's Wednesday. I go to mass on Wednesday night and out to dinner with some friends, so I don't have to prepare dinner tonight. Yay! So that won't be it. But as long as I get those rabbit pens in the bathrooms done, and I started the rabbit pens yesterday, so it should go fairly quickly. And then I will hopefully get this hat done for you today so that you'll be able to see the finished project. Remember, all you really need is 2 skeins of Red Heart Super Saver yarn. You're going to need about 720 yards. And I think it gives it to you here in meters as well. Or honestly, just under that in meters. Which sounds funny. It's just how the balls are sized. See here, 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, like 660 meters if you're going by meters. And they used Karen Simply Soft Tweed. I'm using Red Heart, so I need actually 1 ball less just because there's more on a Super Saver skein. Now, if you're using something that's a variegated yarn, they tend to put less yardage on them than the solid colors. So pay attention. Don't just assume. But you need, what did I say? 720, I believe, yards. And then you're going to need, I used a size I for the scarf, and I'm using a size H hook for the hat. So now all I'm doing is it in the back loop? Let's see if it's in the back loop. Just slip stitch, and all of them are up. I'm going to do it in the back loop. So we're just going to slip stitch in the back loop the whole way around. Oh yeah, this is nice. So when I said earlier it's making a flat brim, this is what I mean. Isn't that really interesting? So you've got this great textured hat. Okay, this count is definitely off. There's no way I got that right. So I'm going to take some of that out, but I want you to see what this flat edging looks like. And I just did a couple of them. So here's the flat edging. So I did it in a color. I may go back and change this back to the pink. It is kind of blossoming out. So it is a little girl's hat. I may let it go because it is ruffling, super cute, right? You can actually be intentional about these ruffles and make it super cute. So you would do more surface crochet if you want it to curl like this, less if you want it flat. So I may go back and redo that. I may not. I have no. Oh my goodness, it's so adorable though, isn't it? I may have to leave it with the curling up, but I am going to do the slip stitching. It's lovely. It's lovely. So here's again the slip stitching, and I'm just going to do a number of rows of slip stitching. And so that is the end of this video for today. The pom-pom. How do you make a pom-pom? Ooh, because I can do that with this other end that's sitting here. Honestly, when I make a pom-pom, I will have cut a nice healthy string here, and I am going to, says it even tells you how to make it with your hand. Wind the yarn around 3 fingers about 100 times. You just go nice and fast. Now, be careful. Don't fold your fingers under or bend them tighter when you're doing it, because then you won't be able to get your fingers out of this. Just letting you know. So it says about 100 times. You're going to be guesstimating here. Just going to wrap it around. More if you want it fuller, less if you want it less, more like a tassel sort of thing. Okay. Now it says you're going to take it off gently. You're going to tie it tightly in the middle. I'm going to leave that one hang. I'm going to tie it tightly in the middle. So I'm just going to put a piece of yarn around the middle. I'll show you in just a second. So I've laid it down on my lap. I've wrapped a piece of yarn around it and making a half knot. And then I'm going to pull it tight. I'm going to make sure it's sort of in the middle. So it looks pretty much in the middle. Ta-da! So I'm going to make it another half knot, so it's a full knot, right? Make a nice, ooh, pull it nice and tight. When as tight as you can get it, you don't want this coming out. As nice and tight as you can make it. Ooh, nice and tight. Sometimes I actually go around the other side and do the same thing, but you don't have to. And this is going to be for sewing in. This end I'm going to trim with those. So what do I do to trim? All these loops, I'm going to go in the ends of the loops and just start cutting them. You may not get them all the first time through. Just cutting the loops. You can do this also with a piece of cardboard or a pom-pom maker, but I always have my fingers on me, so it is nice and handy. Now, not everybody can do that. You may have arthritis or something else going on. Can't quite do that. So here's my funky little pom-pom. Oops. You can see quick if you've missed a loop. Definitely missed that one. Okay, it needs some help. Spruce them up a little bit. The top ones look a little, if you were a little bit off center when you're cutting, you might have some that need trimmed a little. Funky little pom-pom, right? And he'll floof up as you wash it and whatnot. So leave the trimming off a little bit more. So here would be my hat. Super cute, right? And then the scarf is going to mimic this as well. Now you can vary the hat up very quickly, right? Do a white edge instead and a white pom-pom, or do a beige. You can tone it up or tone it down however you want to. And again, you can buy those ribbons in the store and tie a ribbon on the top instead. You can make it super fun. So it's the same basic pattern, but you can use it many, many ways. And again, the surface crochet, I did more than I needed, so it made it roughly adorable for a girl. For a little boy, you would probably want to stick closer to the actual count so that it will lay super flat and be nice and tidy for a little boy. Okay, friends, thank you for watching. I've tried to include lots of tips and tricks and answer all your questions as we've had our little holiday gathering here, little surprise impromptu holiday gathering. Oh, yeah, you like the brim. Yeah, I thought that was super cute. Blessed Ember Wednesday. Yeah, I'll be going to the Ordinariate Mass later on tonight. So, oh, I probably shouldn't have had that snack. Oh, well. The rest of the day has been fasting. Normally, I do fast and abstain on Wednesdays, and I had that little snack because of the video and totally whoop, my mind. But thank you, friend, for reminding me, and I'll make some extra sacrifice to make up for it. God bless you, friends.